Well, that was something that Apple's actually working on for quite some time, and that's a pair of AR glasses. So Apple has multiple patents on this already, by the way, and they've even met with a number of suppliers early this year at CES 2018. So grab some popcorn because this is going to be a very interesting and exciting video. Everything you need to know about Apple's upcoming AR glasses. So yeah, sit back and enjoy. Okay, so first things first. What are AR glasses? What do they do? What do they mean? Well, AR and VR are two very different things. So VR stands for virtual reality. So some good examples would be the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, which is even cooler and even better, or even the Samsung Gear VR, where you put the headset on and you're completely surrounded by a virtual world, hence, its name, VR, virtual reality. So that was VR. Now, AR is quite a bit different. So instead of you being transported to an alien world, so to say, you're still here on Earth, but your world is improved by a lot in a lot of ways. So a good example would be the iOS 11 AR API that has been used by developers to create some amazingly good-looking AR apps. And in those apps, you can just place furniture in your room or pretty much any objects that you wish. And the camera tracking is so good that it looks as if the object is right in front of you in your room, even though when you look away from your smartphone's display, it's not there. And if any of you remember Google Glass, so Google's own pair of AR glasses, well, technically they weren't really AR glasses, they were glasses with an HUD display, Well, the Apple glasses would be very similar to the Google glasses, just heavily focused on AR rather than just a display for you to see your Instagram feed. And speaking of interesting smart glasses, Microsoft is already working on some true AR glasses, which are called the Microsoft HoloLens. I've actually done a separate video on the HoloLens way back in, I think it was 2016. And the developer preview of the Microsoft HoloLens is already out. So the glasses are still being developed, so you cannot really buy them yet. The consumer version isn't out yet, but the developer version is the closest example of what the Apple glasses could be capable of, and maybe even how the Apple glasses could look like. So essentially, when you put these glasses on, you could have a monitor, essentially a display on any surface you want, or even a display just sitting in the air, because why not? Or even, why not, a full room of just displays. And, of course, that you can have other things than just displays. So there's a lot of possibilities with this thing. The possibilities with this thing are actually endless, to be honest. If you've ever played Horizon Zero Dawn, an amazing game, by the way, this is literally the same as having Alloy's focus. Literally. Having a focus is the same thing as playing around with Microsoft HoloLens, or maybe even the Apple upcoming AR glasses. So we've been waiting for years for some proper AR glasses from Apple, and it seems that it's finally happening very, very soon. So Apple has quite a few interesting patents on these kind of glasses, but what's even more interesting than the patents themselves is the fact that Apple has way more than 10 different patents on not just AR glasses, but also VR glasses as well, so both AR and VR. Now, one of the patents, one of the first ones, actually surfaced back in 2013, so almost 5 years ago. This one was showing a massive headset, which seemed to have been a standalone unit, but this thing is massive. And then future patents have showed this design in which you put your iPhone in, and then it acts sort of like a Samsung Gear VR does. So it uses the iPhone's display as the internal display, and there you go. We even had a patent showing a separate remote control. So again, similar to what Samsung did with the new Samsung Gear VR that launched with the Note 7, and the one that you can currently get with the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus, and probably the same one that you will be seeing with the S9 as well. Speaking of the S9, find some rumors video here. Just saying. And then future patent designs have gotten even smaller, and all of them are actually using the iPhone's processing power and also the iPhone's display, while the glasses are essentially, just the housing for the phone and nothing else. But even this second generation is quite massive, so I don't know, you won't be using it outdoors because it doesn't look that great, and it's also massive. And speaking of this design, we've actually done a concept on how this thing might look like, and of course that it will look amazing in black, much better than white. But yeah, I know, it doesn't look great. The concept is actually based on the actual patents, and it looks ugly, it looks massive. Now, the final version will probably not be anything like this. Keep in mind that these are just patents which are always based on initial unfinished hardware, not the consumer, not the final version of the glasses which is going to be released. But again, those were Apple VR glasses, not the Apple AR glasses. And I have a feeling that AR is what Apple is truly focusing on, not VR. And iOS 11 is a very good example of that. And speaking of AR, we do have a few patents showcasing what appears to be some upcoming augmented reality glasses from Apple with their own side-mounted viewing component, so to say, for one patent at least. And then we also have another one which actually shows something very similar to Microsoft's HoloLens. Now, if Apple decides to go along this AR glasses route, they'll probably make them look very, very nice and stylish, because this is something that people would want to wear outdoors in public. So it has to look nice, and it has to be, you know, thin, not bulky. And speaking of this, the design, same as with the VR glasses, we've also made a concept of how these Apple AR glasses could look like. So imagine just a regular pair of glasses, maybe something that's similar to the Snapchat spectacles in design, with an Apple logo on each side of the frame, and also some headphones as well, like we've seen in some of the patents. Now, of course, that Apple could go and implement some resonance-based speakers that would vibrate, and that vibration would be translated to your skull, so they won't emit any audible noise, basically, just vibrations which would be picked up by your ear. Similar to what Google Glass is using. So Google Glass, the glasses they don't really have a speaker. So this is something that Apple could be using, and I think that Apple would be using this in their AR glasses, and then the headphones for the VR one. That's if Apple is still going to focus on VR glasses and not just AR. Now, aside from the patents that I've already talked about, there's actually quite a few more details, a few more recent details on these Apple glasses. So Bloomberg reports that an Apple manufacturer, which is Quanta, they closed a deal with Apple on producing lenses for augmented reality smart glasses. They haven't said Apple glasses, they just said augmented reality, so AR smart glasses. And when asked about AR glasses last November, Tim Cook actually said that the technology itself doesn't actually exist today in order to make a high quality product, and that there are quite a few challenges in terms of making a pair of smart glasses that are both usable and also something that people would want to wear, because that's basically the end goal. Something that's useful, something that looks nice, that people would also wear.
So that, say, everyone in here would have an AR experience. The reality to do that is it has to be something that everybody in here views as an acceptable thing. And nobody in here, or maybe not no one, but few people in here are going to think it's acceptable to be tethered to a computer walking in here and sitting down. And few people in here are going to view that it's acceptable to be enclosed in something.
And then finally, Quanta said that they expect to manufacture some AR smart glasses in 2019, not 2018, 2019. But again, even 2019, this doesn't mean that Apple will be selling these glasses in 2019, just that Quanta will be manufacturing them in 2019. So possibly this could be even for a different company, not just Apple. So maybe they're gonna manufacture these lenses for a Google product or an LG product or a Samsung glasses. We don't know. We just know that they're gonna manufacture something in 2019, which could be Apple, and that Apple also signed a deal with Quanta. And then in November 2017, Apple bought a company called VR Vana. So this is a company that developed the Totem headset. So this one actually got a very, very good feedback based on the specs and also the capabilities, but this thing never actually shipped, so this thing never got released. But this headset also allowed you to use both VR and AR on the same module, so you didn't really have to use two different headsets. It would have an AR mode and a VR mode that would be used depending on which app you actually used on this thing. So it was pretty interesting and unique, I would say, VR and AR both in the same headset. So maybe this is something that Apple plans on doing. Instead of releasing a VR headset and an AR headset, maybe they're going to combine them and just release one. It kind of looks nice, but you know, it's also portable and you can use it in public, and also powerful enough for VR apps. So it's most likely going to be powered by a phone in that case. I mean, in the end, the future is looking very promising in terms of the Apple glasses, and not just in terms of the Apple glasses, but also in terms of VR and AR in general. Speaking of this, let me know in the comments if you prefer having a VR headset such as an Oculus Rift or an AR headset such as the Microsoft HoloLens. I think I would personally pick the HoloLens because it kind of makes our whole world a bit more interactive and a bit more interesting. I mean, imagine having a monitor everywhere you go and being able to do much more things. So HoloLens is more oriented towards productivity, so to say, and actual work and being useful, whereas I think something like a VR headset like the Oculus Rift is oriented towards entertainment like games, movies, more than the AR headset is. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about all this, and also what you guys think about the upcoming Apple glasses. Do you think this is something you would be interested in? Some reports have said that the pricing is not going to be cheap for those things, so at least $1,000, if not more. Keep in mind that Microsoft HoloLens, the developer kit, is $5,000. So that's pretty expensive Obviously, that's not a consumer version. So yeah, it's probably going to be around $1,500 or £1,500, my guess. But yeah, this has been pretty much it for this guy. If you want to see more interesting tech videos like this one, and also don't forget to hit the notification so that you get notified as soon as a brand new epic video comes out. But this has been pretty much it. Feel free to give this video a like if you've enjoyed it. Let me know. I'm Daniel, and see you guys in my next one. Son of Tech, signing out. Cheers.